What did you do as a teenager that you will never tell your parents? Found gay porn on my dad's computer at work. I was kind of a pyro. Started a ton of fires that were more than a little scary. Thankfully nothing bad happened. Still, I will never whisper a word about it to them. In junior high and high school at night I would sneak out and do urban parkour. Literally running and jumping through people's backyards, jumping fences, hiding in bushes and tall grass. I skipped days in my senior year of high school so often that I would not have been capable of graduating with my class. So every day that I felt like skipping I proceeded to browse online obituaries, printed one out, and forged my dad's signature saying that they were family members of mine that had passed away. The office always accepted them and I graduated with my class. My parents will never have to know that I'm going to hell. My brother's was amazing. When my brother was 16 my parents were living in Japan, were American, and there was no drinking age there. They lived on the 9th floor in a high-rise. When my dad would be away on business my mother, his stepmom, would watch him. Every night he would say "Oh Lana, I'm so tired. I'm going to go to bed," even though it was like 7 PM. He would crawl out onto the AC platform and jump from there to the fire escape 9 floors up. Then he would climb down and walk into the city where he would get plastered. When he was done drinking he would make his way back to the apartment and do it in reverse. Climb 9 floors of fire escape, then jump and crawl in his window. More than once he missed the platform and barely hung on. Only once was he caught drinking at a bar because my dad bumped into his English teacher at a bar who told my dad, "Oh yeah, Sam is showing me all the good places in town," which is when Sam popped up with 2 fresh beers. Sam was sent home and the English teacher and my dad became lifelong friends and my godfather. He didn't reveal this, the jumping, to my father until he was 30 and lived on the opposite sides of the country from my father. Got a BJ from a cousin at a family reunion. When I was 15, I met an older guy on the internet. He was 20 and lived in Montreal. This was back in 2005, before meeting people online and then IRL was commonly accepted. We talked for close to a year before I decided I was going to go see him. I saved up money from my shitty part-time job, told my parents I was going camping at the beach a few hours away, and took a ride share from Toronto to Montreal with a bunch of crust punks I'd met through a friend. The driver was a middle-aged Malaysian man who spoke almost no English. I spent a week in Montreal at this guy's apartment, did LSD for the first time, and made a number of other generally terrible decisions. Took the same rideshare back but without the crust punks. It was incredibly awkward. To this day, my parents have no idea and hopefully never will. My now ex-boyfriend hit me. I don't mean a slap on the face, I mean I had boot prints on my back for a week. He was arrested and spent the night in jail. I told my mom we broke up for generic reasons, like I wasn't feeling it. I just didn't want her to worry about me, I guess. One night it was like 2 AM and I still couldn't fall asleep, so I got up, walked out the door, and went for a walk, barefoot, in the rain, for 3 miles. When I got home, I went right to sleep. Not sure why it helped or why I had to leave the house, but my parents would have freaked out if they knew I could sneak around so casually. I would never want them to know how lonely and miserable I was much of the time. They did their best as parents, and I'd hate for them to think it was through a failure on their part. Massive parties at their house, smoked so much weed the place was hotboxed, had it all cleaned and pristine by the time they got back and they never found out a thing. Oh yeah, lots of drugs too. Still an honors student too. In high school, my gay best friend and I would have threesomes with other closeted guys from our high school. Hella fun, but we were good kids and the paranoia of getting caught was too much, so we stopped. Me and some friends of mine broke into my parents' house and stole a ton of stuff. I will never tell my mom this, and I'm 59 years old now. I probably should use a throwaway for this, but oh well. When I was 19 I had a sugar daddy. I told my parents he was my BF. He kinda was complicated, but he gave me $500 a week allowance when I was at university. I had a blanket over my bedroom window for pitch black sleeping. I heard a hoof sound and saw a black hole in the blanket. A candle heated up the fabric to the point of combustion. I almost burned the whole house down. I think I'm lucky that it was an electric blanket and fire retardant. How often I drank, football games, hammered, weekends, parties, sometimes nights before I had to compete too. Once or twice I figured out a good, almost scentless, mixture of vodka and root beer. Great school day. Had been caught twice, but I have only done it in the summer and fall weekends, never during season or before a school night. Tried to steal a Toyota I thought was mine while drunk. I didn't own a Toyota at the time. Also spent around an hour in some garden looking at the house that same night. I'll tell my parents when I'm older, just not right now. I would never tell my mom that I took prescription pills every day for years, or that I self-harmed for years. She always says she knows I've smoked pot a few times. She has no clue how fucked up I used to be. Walked by their room late one night, and they had accidentally left the door open. Saw every kid's worst nightmare. Me and my twin bro hid our report cards from my parents when they arrived in the mail. Parents were miffed. Spoke to the school when they clearly weren't coming in the mail. The school sent another copy through to the mail. They arrived a few weeks later. Me and my bro once again. Destroy the evidence. My parents just forgot about the report cards after a while. They'll never know. My parents had this closet. It was always locked. I remember that closet being a large walk-in from when we were looking at the house before buying it, and I, being a curious and precocious youth, searched for weeks for the keys. What I found horrified me, and still haunts my dreams. Over 100 varieties of lube, leather and latex catsuits, whips, the real kind, no Spencer's bullshit, racks and other elaborate restraint systems, strap-ons, a Symbian, an arm, yes, a silicone, proportionate arm, and other freaky bondage equipment that even now with my own extensive experience of bondage cannot place or name. TLDR. Found my parents' bondage closet. I hosted a Project X party in someone's backyard at 17 with a bunch of DJs from different states. I just told my parents I'm spending the night at a friend's house, that I stole mom's car, drove it around, picked up friends, got stoned off my ass and drove around town. I mean, she obviously knows I crashed it, but that time I actually was sober, that I had a boyfriend. Catholic Asian parents are the worst, and studying at a private Chinese Catholic school didn't help either. Bought a motorcycle, got the license and drove it around for about a year before selling it. I miss that $900 rusty death machine. Having to spend 10 minutes in a girl's closet, naked, holding my shoes to my crotch cause her dad came home early from work. Didn't even get to finish. When I was 19 I bought my first rifle. I still lived at home at the time, and they did not like guns. I kept it in a locked case either in the trunk of my car or under my bed. Both bad ideas. I regret it now because I know they would be disappointed, and I should have followed their rules while they were kind enough to still let me mooch off them. I was just in I'm an adult so I can make my own decisions kind of rebellion. Meanwhile I was sneaking it out the window at midnight whenever I wanted to take it shooting with friends. I was 18. I skipped an entire semester of college because I just felt discouraged about the program I was on. The university kicked me out, and I had to lie to my parents that the course I was taking was better at this other university so they won't think about why I had to transfer universities. They will never find out. Used to piss out my bedroom window every day night. I cut a small flap in my screen for my stream. It was super convenient. Can never tell my family this. They super prudish and would be insanely disgusted by this. Mum didn't want me wasting all my money on video games, so when I brought a new one home I'd toss it on the roof and walk in and greet her empty-handed. Then I'd go upstairs to my bedroom and climb out my window onto the roof and retrieve my new game. Snuck my boyfriend through my window into my room countless nights when I was 15. One time, my mom even came into the room and sat on my bed while he was hidden under the duvet. She will never know the truth. When I were in my early teens our homeroom teacher gave us statistics on how bad all the schools here in Sweden were, based on all the children skipping class. Our school was the worst in the whole nation, and I had the most, by far, absence of everyone. So I was literally the worst student in Sweden. Thankfully I also had the best grades in class. I don't think this information was ever given to our parents, so they still don't know. One time in May 2009 I was convinced it was the last day of school and decided not to go anymore after that. Convinced all my friends to join me in a month-long skip session. Met every day at empty house to play Smash Brawl. Failed only one class. Found an ATM card with the pin written on a paper and the owner's it on the street. Went to the nearest ATM and withdrew 500 bucks. Then tossed everything. I feel guilt every time I remember about this. My friend and I met with some guy on Craigslist to buy a hockey stick. My mom is absolutely paranoid about things like Craigslist, so she shall never find out. A few weeks after getting my license, I was turning left on a major intersection while looking down at my phone to change a song. Dumb. I know. I saw incoming traffic coming really fucking fast and sped up without even looking in front of me. I went over the median and hit a U-turn sign, which totally fucked up my front bumper. I told my parents that someone hit my parked car in a Walmart parking lot. I filed a claim with my insurance and everything was repaired after paying a $500 deductible. It could have gone a lot worse, and I do not look at my phone while driving anymore.